Hi, John. So since I couldn't get a hold of you, I'm going to go ahead and record the information about the property, and then you can just watch it at your leisure. Um, However, we do need to get the paperwork submitted to Velour no later than 8 a.m. on Monday, the 8th. So I think I had mentioned this to you in an email as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This property specifically has to do with energy. A lot is going on around this. This is going to be a little bit of background information on what's happening with energy. You might remember some of this from the original presentation that you did see. This is what we are calling the greatest shift of wealth in the history of the world, which I know is a huge statement to make. And we at Velour would not make that statement unless we had the information to back it up. And this comes from probably around 11 to 12 years of just research, experience, data analysis, and correlation by Velour. And that shift of wealth, if you remember from the presentation, is the shift from fossil fuels to green energy. And it is affecting a lot of different industries as well. And for us, this means the largest land rush in California's history, and the majority of it is happening right where we are investing, and your property is smack dab in the middle of it. So exciting location, great opportunity, especially at the price that this property is coming in at. And right now, it's not just here in California, but the entire US is on the cusp of an unprecedented solar boom, and of course, California is leading the way. Just as a reminder, the different law changes that are happening. In September of 2018, Jerry Brown signed Senate Bill 100, which said by the year 2045, we want 100% of our energy coming from alternative energy resources, with an interim goal of 50% by 2026, which is, really only 6 years from now, and 60% by the year 2030. So we're going to see a lot of land being consumed in the very near term. We already are seeing that happening in this area where we're investing. And the governor, of course, says that 100% clean energy is not enough. And the reason why he's saying that is because that bill, Senate Bill 100, is only covering structures, so homes and commercial buildings, or just structures in general across California. And the biggest polluter in California happens to be transportation. So the state says they want to go carbon neutral. And in order to do that, they're going to pass Assembly Bill 1745, which says by the year 2040, state law will require all new passenger vehicles sold in California to produce zero emissions. So now we're going to have the transportation sector that needs energy. And we're already seeing that customers are moving towards electric vehicles. Tesla, if you look at the numbers, they are blowing all of the rest of the different types of cars out of the water. I don't know about where you live, but here in this Bay Area, there are so many Teslas driving around. It's quite shocking how fast this started to take over the market. And it's not just here in California, but across the globe, countries, governments are banning gas-powered vehicles and moving toward electric vehicles. That's why companies like Volkswagen, which is the second largest company in the entire world, is saying we're going to stop making gas-powered cars as early as 2026. And it's Mercedes, it's BMW, it's Audi, it's Ford, GM, every single car company out there is doing it. And it's not just cars, but it's buses, tractors, trucks, boats, planes, everything. And these types of vehicles require a tremendous amount of electricity. So not only are we going to have to power the buildings, infrastructure across California, we're also going to have to power the vehicles and transportation. And we've done the studies at Valour just looking at the amount of land that's available for this type of energy production and the amount of energy we're going to be needing. And in reality, there's really not enough land for it. So that's not our problem to solve. We're just taking advantage of this opportunity and acquiring the land that is in the most high growth areas for this energy. The reason why it's happening in the Antelope Valley is because if you look at this US solar radiation map, it's the perfect environment for it. So they have the flat land needed. They have over 300 days of sun per year. This little star right here represents where the most intense sun is, and that is right where the Antelope Valley is. So that's where we want to be for solar. Also, the mayor of Lancaster has done a lot, and as far as moving towards green energy, not only for his city, but just as a great model. They've even created their own power company. They're generating their own power on land there in the city and selling it to their own customers, as well as selling it to other cities. Just in the past couple years, their yearly budget has gone up around $40 million just from doing this. And so, again, this is actually part of the planning documents from LA County. They're specifically talking about renewable energy, and they say the demand for renewable energy in California is expected to dramatically increase in the near future. The Antelope Valley has one of the most abundant sunshine in the country. This, along with the availability of undeveloped open spaces, gives the Antelope Valley a lot of potential for solar energy development, as well as other forms of renewable energy sources. So this is an actual picture of the Antelope Valley, and just one small section of the solar projects that are coming into the area. And they have already taken up square miles, I mean hundreds of square miles of land for solar, just in a very short time frame as well. So as a reminder, all of our properties go through our research and acquisition department, goes through our intense screening process. Out of 30 properties we look at any one time, we purchase about one. That's how strict we are with the criteria that every property must adhere to. So this is one of the properties that made it through. That's why it took, a little while for us to get this property for you. So these are the details of the property. It's 2.12 acres. It's on the corner of Gaskell Road and 140th Street West. So being on the corner or frontage any road is always a huge positive. Not all of our properties are frontage. It's not required. It's still a great property, but these are just extra unique when they're frontage property or a road. $22,000 is the purchase price. That works out to $10,377 per acre, 24 cents per square foot, for a total of 92,347 square feet. So rather good sized property. This is the plat map, and I will be sending you a copy of this. This shows the details of the location of the property and the details of the property as well. So again, 2.12 acres on Gaskell Road and 140th Street West. Since it's land, there's no physical address on it. So how you really find it is the legal description. And this legal description, you actually read it backwards. So this property is inside of Kern County. Kern County is a part of the Antelope Valley and where a huge majority of solar projects are coming in. If I was sitting in front of you, I'd pull out a really big map, which would show the ranges and townships of the area. Actually, the entire US is broken up into ranges and townships. So this is in range 14 West and township 9 North. And we would narrow it, and once we're inside of that section, then we would look for section 28. Section 28 is this square that we're looking here on the map. That square is 1 square mile. And then going along further, we're in the southwest quarter of that section. So the southwest quarter is this bottom left-hand square. And then we're in the southwest quarter of that, which takes us to these 4 bottom squares. Then we're in the southwest quarter of that, which takes us down to this 10 acres. And then it's in the southwest quarter of that, which takes us to the actual property. And the property is denoted by this black square that you see here on the map. Also, another important thing to make note of, all of the shaded gray areas. Those are either existing solar fields that are already in there or new solar projects that have already been proposed and are going to basically be doing an infill. And this is also what I would consider this property is an infill solar project. So I'll describe more what that means as we go through this. Now I'm going to show you the 3-mile radius of the property. So if you remember from the first presentation you saw, the Urban Land Institute has done studies, and they said when a new development comes into an area, it causes the surrounding values of land within a 3-mile radius to increase in value. So all new developments within 3 miles is 10% appreciation, within 2 miles is 20% appreciation, and within 1 mile is 30% appreciation. So let's look at that 3-mile radius. And your 3-mile radius is very jam-packed, which is unusual. Usually there's a lot more land available, but that's what also makes this property very, very strategic. It's already completely surrounded by solar projects as well as the infrastructure needed for the solar. So all of the yellow that you see here are either existing or new solar projects coming in. And then the purple that you see, those purple lines running across the screen, those are the high tension power lines put in by Southern California Edison. So I'm going to go into more detail on these surrounding projects. First of all, regarding the high tension power lines, this was put in by Southern California Edison several years ago. They spent $3.5 billion building these high tension power lines across the Antelope Valley, and the star denotes roughly where the property is located. And you can see here there's a Kern County, LA County line, so you're right near the county lines. And then it's pulling the energy from these alternative energy projects and then funneling it back into the main grid. $3.5 billion project, you're right in the middle of it. These solar projects are just coming in all over this area because that's where the infrastructure is. Infrastructure is a huge part, a key part to land banking. So a few years ago, Apple did a big solar power deal with a company called First Solar. First Solar is owned by Christy Walton from the Walmart Waltons. And basically what they did is they said that they were going to buy all of their energy from First Solar so that they could provide 100% green energy to their company. It's $850 million worth of power for these new solar farms. First Solar has a huge new project that recently just got developed within the 3-mile radius of this property. This is actually an offer letter that came to one of our investors. They had offered them $23,000 per acre. And if you see here, this is on Avenue A, 120th Street West. Here's Gaskell Road, which your property is on Gaskell Road, just 2 miles to the west of this project. And this is over 2 square miles of land just for this one solar project. This is just one of many different solar projects that the company First Solar has out here in the Antelope Valley. Warren Buffett, everyone knows of him as a very well-known and respected investor. Back in 2013, he spent $2.5 billion buying several square miles of land for a new solar project. Your property happens to be right in the middle. You're like the donut hole of Warren Buffett's project. So this was the original map that shows, the original drawings for how they were going to build out that solar project. Originally, it started at around 4,000 acres, and he kept just consolidating the land around him. And now it's up to about 8.9 square miles, over 5,600, almost 5,700 acres of land. And this is pictures of the project out there. These were a few years ago, so this was when they were actually just building that project out. So huge, massive project already in operation. And what we've been seeing with these projects is once they get up and going and start making money, and by the way, energy is a huge money source, they want to make more money. So what do? They start acquiring surrounding lands, or other solar companies will just come in and basically puzzle piece do that infill that I was talking about right next to the other solar. So here's another solar project that's coming in. It's this Rosamond solar project. All of the orangey color that you see here, this is a brand new approved project that's going to be built, and your property is denoted by the star, so that's 140th Street West, and that's Gaskell. And then the pink, that is all of Warren Buffett's projects. So you already have existing solar panels from Warren Buffett just half a mile to the north, and then literally right next to you is another new solar project that still is going to be built. I have several investors in this area, just this infill area, if you will, that are getting offers from solar companies looking to acquire them. So with a location like this, really it's just a matter of time before they start contacting you. Could be very short period of time, but of course you always want to have that 7 to 10 year outlook. So that new project that's coming in right next to yours, that's going to be roughly 1,360 acres. If you can see, originally it was 400 acres, then they acquired another 960 acres, so it keeps on growing. And that power will be supplying to Southern California Edison, as well as the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. LA Department of Water and Power, they put in their own high tension power lines across the Antelope Valley. I think they spent around $300 million putting that infrastructure in just a few years ago. And so you can't see where your property is located on this property, but this is still within the 3-mile radius. So this orange color, that's that new project that's coming in right next to yours. This is a portion of Warren Buffett's, this pink with the stripes. This lighter greenish color, that is another first solar project that's coming in on the western side. The first one I was showing you was on the eastern side. And then puzzle piecing in right next to that is RE Astoria. This is done by a company called Recurrent Energy, who has partnered with Google. And this is just one of 3 different projects that they've puzzle pieced in right next to each other. So this whole area is just getting completely filled by solar so that they can power California. And this is a picture of one of the Recurrent projects. That particular project, well, actually it's 3 of them. Each one is over 2,000 acres of land. They are massive, massive projects. So this picture right here, it's not 100% updated, meaning that there's actually more projects, solar projects, than is denoted on this picture. This is a Google Earth image that I was able to get from Velour. And if you look at it, so this is the entire Antelope Valley, which is kind of a triangle shape based on the topography, meaning the mountains kind of surround the valley, and within the valley it's all flat land. The big blue square over here, this is all Edwards Air Force Base. All of the green that you see here on the screen, those are all called significant ecological areas. So you would not want to own land inside of that because it's a problem for development. So they protect a lot of that land because of endangered species and other such things. And then if you look at all of the brown, or it's kind of like a maroon, dark reddish color, all of that is new solar projects that have come in about the last 7 years. I mean, literally thousands of acres of land consumed, square miles and square miles gone. And then all of the pink color, this is all wind energy projects that have come in as well. And then over here on the right, oops, I don't have the square. All of this is Lancaster and Palmdale. So the LA County is trying to protect this land, saying, hey, we don't want solar to come over here because we need this land for traditional community development, which at Valour, we have a lot of investment in this area as well because we need houses, buildings, etc. So you're right in the middle of what is known as the alternative energy capital of the world. And you're right in the middle of some major billion-dollar projects. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better location, again, especially at the price range that this property is coming in. So this is a very, very unique property. I know you're out of town. I hope you're able to watch this and get all the paperwork in so you can take advantage of this property. So this is the solar revolution, which means energy real estate for us. And that's basically what this property is, energy real estate. And land is a finite resource, and like any finite resource, land becomes more and more valuable when it's scarce. So in this area, our investors are getting offers. I mean, the minimum offer about 3 to 4 years ago was $16,000 per acre. And it's gone up quite significantly since then. So you already have a huge built-in equity on this property just from the get-go. You're buying the property at $10,377 per acre, 24 cents per square foot. If you think about it, you can't even buy carpet for that cheap. So again, here is the 3-mile radius around the property. You can see all of the solar projects coming in within that 3-mile radius. Again, there's those purple high tension power lines. And then up here to the north, these little dots that you see, the dots with the lines, those are wind farms. And those keep on going north because right up here, this is where the topography starts to slope up into the mountains. And so there's not going to be solar and wind up there in the mountains. So limited space, a lot of it's already been taken up. This is strategically located right in the middle. All right, if you have any questions, John, please feel free to get a hold of me. Otherwise, please complete the paperwork and get that back to me as soon as possible. Hope you're having a great trip on the East Coast, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.